no numbers, there's no pictures, there's no videos, there's no gameplay. I don't like it.
Yo, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope everyone's having a good day so far. Today, we're going to get back into Samurai Stories. Today, we're going to be going over trauma. So, I had with this one, I had, an interesting, debacle because I had two stories that I wanted to write. One would have been based off of the fishing job. One would have been based off the medic job. And to be honest, with the fishing job, I had already brought up a fisherman in the previous story, which I believe, am I going to remember off the top of my head? I think it was, I don't remember. It was the one with the Durango Zoo. I'd have to scroll up. I'm not going to. But I did already bring up fisherman, and to bring him up again, I almost thought about doing it, but there's not enough, fisherman artworks. I could have done something, but I don't know what I would have done. But yeah, I decided to do this one instead, and there was enough to work with here to do something. Because yeah, I wanted to keep going with a couple of stories, and we're getting down to the wire here. But no context for what this is. It's pretty much just gonna be a story about medics. So yeah, let's get into it. I woke up from my nap. I didn't want to get up, but I knew I had to. I grabbed my gear and set up for the sanctuary med. I knew the risks of being out in the field, and I didn't care. I had a job to do, and I'd put my life on the line to do it. I opened the doors to Med and saw Naya talking with Tara. I cleared my throat and said, "Slacking on the job? You're supposed to be a good influence on her, Tara." Tara scoffed and said, "Relax, Garrison. We both just got back from separate jobs and are on call." I crossed my arms and said, "All right, I'll bite. Prove it." Tara whistled, and the spotted dog came running from one of the hallways. Found this little guy trapped in one of the Briarwood vines. Managed to get him out safely and brought him back here. Maybe he could be our medical dog. So yeah, this is Tara. This is her actual hero art, by the way. Just as a dog, licking her, and I was like, perfect story there. You know, where'd the dog come from? So yeah, let's keep going. I shrugged and said, "Gotta clear it with Valerian first, but I'm glad he got him out safe and sound." I turned to Naya and asked, "What'd you do out in the field?" She pulled out a metal case and showed me medical supplies. I scratched my head and said, "Yeah, I'm not following." She rolled her eyes and said, "I went out into the field and got some medical supplies for Medic Jacob." And yeah, this is Medic Jacob. I believe it's not even his name, but made it up. But this is, I believe, could be wrong. I think Naya has an actual name. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she has a name. I don't think I made that up. But if I did, I did. So, yeah. Anywho, let's keep going. I looked at the supplies and said, "Good work. We've been running low on supplies ever since that invasion a year ago." Okay, so I did bring up the invasion. I lied. This one actually has something to do with... It's got the invasion mentioned, but nothing concrete, something invasion-worthy happening in this story. But anyway, I digress. Let's continue. Tara looked at me and asked, "And what have you been up to out in the field?" I rubbed the back of my helmet nervously and said, "I'll admit I was napping before I got here." Naya started laughing and said, "I told you, Tara, our leader here was slacking off." I shook my head and said, "There's a difference between slacking off and getting some much-needed rest." Tara shrugged and said, "Well, lucky for you, we saved the toughest job for you, Gold." She handed me a message from one of the local field medics. I put on my jacket and said, "Sounds pretty bad. I'll meet up with him to gather intel on the whole situation." I called for my Raven and we set out to the streets of Sanctuary. As usual, the streets were busy and packed with citizens from all over Sacred Grove. It took me a few minutes, but I finally found Eric Castor. So Eric Castor, character, made up the name completely, but it works, okay? And it's, sorry if it's not, clear what the main character here is, the narrator is. His name is Garrison Gold. He's an actual, medic in TCG cards. Assuming he's an actual character, but yeah, it's not something I made up. That's his actual name, Garrison Gold. Yep, it's right here too. So yeah, let's keep going. He greeted me and said, "Garrison Gold, it's been far too long since you and I were out in the field. I chuckled and said, "Oh, don't I know it? Speaking of, I got your message. Sounds like you got quite the job on your hands." He nodded and said, "We got a bit of a walk ahead of us, so I'll explain on the way." We started heading northeast towards Sunstone Valley, and I asked, "We're going all the way over there?" Eric shook his head and said, "Near the entrance to Sunstone Valley, there's a couple of new recruits who wanted to be medics, and unfortunately, I got word they found themselves in a bit of a bind." I looked at him and asked, "How bad is it?" He sighed and said, "I sent them out on a simple field operation to find a Robgoblin who got injured near the entrance. I got word that a bandit found the Robgoblin first and is giving the recruits trouble." I shook my head and said, "Recruits have to be prepared for anything in the field, but it's nothing we can't handle." He nodded and said, "Agreed, we're almost there. Let's show those recruits how it's done." When we arrived, the recruits were in a panic. They looked stunned, as though they were unable to fight and unwilling to do their job. Eric saw the recruits and exclaimed, "Glenn, Cass, snap out of it." Still in a panic, Cass heard him and managed to get a hold of herself. So this image, like, I completely made up their names, but it seemed like, it'd be a perfect opportunity for story details. So let's keep going. I noticed that she became self-aware and asked, "Are you two hurt?" She shook her head and said, "I think we're okay, but we can't handle this alone." Eric looked around and said, "Where's the Robgoblin?" She pointed over to a rock near the entrance to Sunstone Valley. I looked over and said, "I'll help the Robgoblin. You take care of the bandit." Eric nodded and ran over to assist the recruits. Glenn finally snapped back to reality and charged the bandit. Eric tried to stop him, but before he could, the bandit sent Glenn flying. I quickly made my way to the Robgoblin in the hopes I wasn't too late to save him. So there's like 3 images of Garrison Gold, which is just wild to me. So, or I think 4 actually. Could be wrong, but I think there's 4 images. It's crazy. I wanted to include them all. Let's keep going. I found the Robgoblin unconscious, and to make sure he didn't get injured on the way back, I injected him with anesthesia. I set the Robgoblin against a tree and went back to see if Eric needed help. From the looks of it, it seemed like he needed help, and I wasn't about to let my old partner down when he needed me most. I flew into assist, and I heard him yell, "Gold, take him out now!" Raven and I flew in and knocked the bandit onto his feet. Eric used a surgical weapon and delivered the final blow to the bandit in one fell swoop. Easy. I landed and said, "And that's how it's done, recruits." Eric laughed and said, "Couldn't have said it better myself. Glenn did get hurt pretty bad, so we should probably head back to Sanctuary Med." I nodded and grabbed the Robgoblin from the tree. Eric grabbed Glenn and we all made our way back. We brought them both to the care facility, and Naya said, "Whoa, I didn't think it'd be that bad." I looked at her and Tara, then said, "And you said I was slacking." Eric called some local medics and nurses over to help treat the Robgoblin and Glenn, then said, "They're getting the proper medical care now. Hopefully we don't have another situation like that again." I scratched my helmet and said, "Just in case, we should probably pair experienced medics or anyone willing to help with new recruits. It can't hurt to provide them with the proper backup." He nodded and said, "In any case, I'm glad we got everyone out of there safe." I smiled, then sat down to collect my thoughts. This is why I chose to do this as a job, to make sure that no matter what happens out in the field or in our home, I'd be there to make sure everyone is safe and sound under my protection. So, that was Trauma. Kind of short story, kind of like the last one. I don't know. A lot of these stories, like, I wanted to write, but like I didn't want them to be too crazy, too big. I think Burnout's like the only one that I wrote like that I was super passionate about. The other ones I just kind of wanted to write for fun. But yeah. So that was Trauma. We got 2 stories left, so we'll get into those in the next couple of videos. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you did, I appreciate it a ton. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!